Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe Radha Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Kunj जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा महीसुवर्ण श्रीनाथ जी जय बाल गोपाल जय श्रीनाथ जी जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
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 ओम ज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, after some gap, it's nice to be back. So, this week we're discussing this 47th verse of chapter 2. And Krishna is making a very important statement here in this verse. And this verse we may have seen a lot. You're in India, you'll see this verse on billboards a lot. But they keep one main point of the verse out because this one part of this verse is not so easily digestible at first for us. So we'll discuss that. But given we're at roughly the midpoint of this second chapter, I thought we would do just a quick review of where we started and where we have come in this second chapter. So we understand why Krishna is making this very, strong statement now in this section of the Bhagavad Gita. So, anybody remember what happened in the very beginning of this second chapter?
Can I refer the notes?
Yes, of course. That's the reason to take notes. This is the best. So what happened in the beginning of this chapter, the end of the first chapter?
Should not see expect any fruits, because that will make us get into distress and we will not be happy.
Yes, that is the main point of today's discussion. How to do our duties. So in the beginning of this chapter, what was the condition of Arjuna? Was he very happy, ecstatic?
He was depressed.
He was depressed, stressed, anxiety, fear. So what did he do? Did he go to the spa and get a massage? Did he go to the beach and take in the fresh air? What did he do to relieve himself of his discomfort?
He has to become a sober person.
He has to become a sober person. He surrendered to Krishna. Right? So the beginning of this chapter is Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. Meaning Arjuna recognized he could not fix his own situation. Through his own logic, own understanding, he was not able to bring solutions to his problems. So he went and put himself before Krishna and said, now I am your disciple, you instruct me. So Arjuna is setting the mood for how we should approach this Bhagavad Gita. Our struggles come in many varieties, many different degrees, but they carry the same themes as Arjuna's. Right? Some family challenges, not getting satisfaction from the workplace, finding setbacks. Every time I'm trying to take 2 steps forward, it seems I'm taking 3 steps back. This up and down. These things are confronting us. So Arjuna sets the stage by showing us, by surrendering to Krishna, Krishna's instructions will be beneficial for who? Us.
Everyone.
Us. Krishna is not speaking to benefit himself. When we see this verse we'll discuss today, one kind of doubt comes when Krishna says, surrender the fruits to me. That sounds like, wow, he gets to win, I lose. Child goes door to door and trick-or-treating, right? Collects all the candy. And then father says, give me the candy. Child thinks, wow, I did all the work and now I have to give. That's not fair, right? But remember, every single instruction of Krishna, he has one goal for Arjuna, and that's to give him the highest and greatest happiness. So then Krishna spoke for 19 verses, almost 20 verses, on the topic of the soul. Right? And he spoke about the soul. It is never destroyed. It is never withered. How the soul changes bodies from boyhood to youth to old age. And at death into a new body. A sober person, a dhiras tatra namuyati, is not bewildered by this change. So he's telling Arjuna, don't think you are killing the person across the battle. That is just their body. Just as someone changes an old garment for a new one, similarly the soul will exchange an old body for a new one. So that which is indestructible, the spirit soul, is never harmed. Right? And the reason Krishna spoke first about the soul, he didn't speak about duty, he didn't speak about bhakti yet, he didn't speak about abstaining from controlling the senses or regulator principles. Why he spoke first about the soul? Because, I'll answer the own question, just in the interest of time, that we are 100% going to be in confusion and not finding happiness if we view everything through, I am this body. But as soon as we understand I am spirit soul and ask, why am I doing this activity? Is it good for my soul? Then we'll find clarity and happiness. So no matter what logics you apply, if you apply it to the consciousness, I am this body, you'll falter. It's just like if I'm looking through some glasses and everything is blue. My glasses are blue. No matter what colors are present in the painting and the back, everything's going to be tinted with this blue. I won't be seeing properly because I'm looking through the lens of a blue lens. So everything will be distorted. So similarly, if we look at our situation from the perspective, I am body and I am not spirit soul, we'll be confused. So Krishna initially sets the stage. You are spirit soul. You are spirit soul. You are spirit soul. Now think, Arjuna, what is good for the spirit soul? Your soul and their soul. You are thinking what's good for their body. I don't want to fight. But by not fighting, you are causing their soul to have to take another body and they're going to have to suffer because of the sins that they have incurred. Instead, you have an opportunity to liberate them. Open the doors to heaven. So you think you are taking their life. You are not taking their life. You are actually giving them elevation to heaven. Just one example Krishna says. So this foundation of our whole spiritual process is, what is good for my soul? Because I am soul. If I have limited resources, am I going to spend them on me or my car? At least if I have some intelligence. First on me, then the car. So similarly, in our limited time, our limited energy, we're going to spend energy, focus on our soul. So that's why Krishna speaks for soul. Then he speaks for 7 verses about this karma and karma-kanda. He says, even if you don't believe in soul and you want happiness, you should fight. Because not doing your duty, you'll not find happiness as a Kshatriya. Your duty as a Kshatriya is to fight. You cannot bear insults. If you do your duty, you'll attain good pious credits so you can enjoy in the heavenly opulences. All of those reasons you should still fight. So he explained these lower sections actually. So spirit soul, this is called Jnana Yoga. Then Krishna comes down to a lower rung, which is karma yoga and karma kanda. And then he brings it to the top, almost the top, in explaining buddhi yoga. So these last verses we've been discussing, and this verse today is speaking about buddhi yoga. And this is karma yoga plus, actually nishkam karma yoga plus jnana yoga. So with knowledge that I am spirit soul, do your duty, do your activity, and do it detached. Detached from the fruits, that's the nishkam karma yoga. But with knowledge that I am spirit soul. And what happens as we've been discussing, right? All of one's needs become fulfilled. One becomes fixed in purpose. They become determined. They find great peace and happiness. Right? So Krishna has been speaking that, he spoke very strongly that don't be attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. What did he call such people? Anyone remember? In the 42nd verse? Very intelligent? He didn't quite use miser, but he says small knowledge. Meaning, when you can aspire for something eternal and permanent and unlimited, why you would try to get something temporary? Right? So, Krishna was speaking, we spoke last time about the well. To give us faith, right? That when we serve Krishna, what else is missing? Right? Is there something missing? We have this doubt often within us. So Krishna said in just a prior verse, all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So within the Vedas, so many different types of worship are prescribed. How many types? Thousands. So many different prescribed yagyas to all the different devatas, to the different rishis, different ancestors, pitras, different personalities. How many demigods there are? 33 million. And to each of them we owe some debt, some reciprocation to. But Krishna says how to serve and satisfy all of them. You must know the ultimate purpose of the Vedas. Who created these sacrifices? Who?
Krishna.
Who?
Krishna.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He created all of them. And then what is he saying to do with them? Don't do them. But he's telling Arjuna that. Why is he telling Arjuna that?
Because he has surrendered.
Because he has surrendered. And because?
He's his dear friend.
Because Arjuna is his dear friend. To our dear friend, we give the best of advice, the best of what we have, the complete. So, Krishna has given all of these yagyas. Trust me, he's not going to feel left out if we don't worship him. He's Atma Rama. But to his best of friends, he gives the ultimate knowledge, which is Sarva Dharma. Sarva means all. Dharma means religion, some processes. He says, give them all up. Because all purposes served by a small well can be served by a large reservoir of water. Meaning the root of the tree can nourish each and every branch. And we keep giving these different examples. But Krishna is telling us, through the medium of speaking to Arjuna, what is the ultimate activity one can do. And this is this Buddha yoga, or we call it Bhakti yoga. They're very close. Okay? So sometimes we hold on and wonder, what about this? What about that? What about this? Right? And it's a natural question. But Krishna is telling us unequivocally, in the beginning, in the 2nd chapter, and he's going to conclude in the 18th chapter, and everywhere in between is giving the same message. By taking to the process of bhakti, one automatically does all necessary karma yoga, jnana yoga, buddhi yoga. It's all included. It's just like if I'm doing calculus, I am by definition also doing basic mathematics, basic subtraction, basic multiplication. So So similarly, by the performance of bhakti, one encompasses everything. And at the end of the 8th chapter, Krishna says this very explicitly. All the purposes served by the Vedic sacrifices are achieved through bhakti. And on top of that, one more thing is given to the practitioner of bhakti that no other practice gives, and that is entrance to the spiritual world. So our attachment to these other things is just as we're developing faith in what Krishna is saying. Because Krishna's instructions are unambiguous. The beauty, the greatest fortune we have is Krishna is very clear, very precise in how he instructs. He doesn't leave any gap for us, but he gives us options. He gives us options of what to do, where we want to enter. But his instructions to his dear friend Arjuna are extraordinarily clear. And those are the instructions we are trying to take to obtain the same result. Okay? So this is, in summary, this so far where we have come. Right? So now let's read this very... How many of you have seen this verse before? Many of you? Anyone has seen it on a billboard? I've seen it in India, driving from Delhi to Vrindavan. You'll see this on this, at least the first line, karmany, evadhikaras. Right?
It will be in the railway station.
It's in the railway stations, right?
Most of the railway stations.
Always. But we never see phalesu, kadacana.
No, even there was it.
But they don't translate that. So why? What is? So let's read the verse and let's read and then we'll see why. That piece is always missing. Okay. Someone wants to read?
Karmani evadhikaras ma phalesu kadacana ma karma-phala-hetur bhur ma te sango akarmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duties. Purport. Can I read?
Yeah, please.
There are 3 considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties or activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duties without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus, he is the enjoyer or sufferer of the result of such actions. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into 3 subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of scriptural injunctions without desire for results is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results become the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his preparatory right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non-participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of salvation for Arjuna.
All right. So now let us dig into this very, very important verse. And this topic is not so easy to digest initially. So Krishna is going to speak this same topic in the 3rd chapter and the 5th chapter. Virtually the entire 3rd chapter and most of the 5th chapter is speaking on this topic. Okay? So in Krishna's here again speaking how to do buddhi yoga. Ultimately bhakti. Okay? So you have a right to perform your prescribed duty. But you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities. And never be attached to not doing your duty. So, anything difficult? Anything a little bit painful in this verse? Everything is painful. But what part is most painful for us? Not expecting the fruit. Right? So we'll spend a lot of time on that piece of it. Why that is the case? Remember, Krishna is going to speak only what is good for Arjuna. That we have to file away into our mind and heart. That whatever Krishna says, it is only because it is best for Arjuna. Not best for Krishna. It's best for Arjuna. Which means it's best for us. So when we hear things that have a little bit of pain, that have a little bit of, that's not what I would have expected Krishna to say, we should see, something is off in how I'm seeing this. And as we get through this, you'll see. Okay? So the first question is, active or inactive? What should we do? Is spirituality active or inactive? Active. Why is it active? Why is Krishna saying you should be active?
It's your right.
It's your right.
It's the nature of
It's the nature of the soul. If the nature of the soul is to be active, can we be inactive and be happy?
No.
What is the nature of a 2-year-old, specifically boy? Running around. Right? Now you tell the 2-year-old, you sit here quietly, fold your legs, sit here, and just pay attention. Will it work? Why? It's not his nature. That is not the nature of that young boy. So the nature of each of us as spirit soul is to be active, not to be inactive. So spirituality, bhakti, is all about activity. But to that 2-year-old boy, do we say just be active? If he's taking a hammer and hitting on this glass, he's always active. Arjuna? Is that what we want that boy to do? No. So we want to direct the activity to something beneficial. Color. Cut something. Go hit a baseball, cricket ball. Right? Something that's sanctioned. Right? So it's not blind action either. But it's prescribed action. Prescribed by mother and father. Right? So the nature of the soul is to be active. Now Prabhupada says it is sinful to be inactive. How is that the case? At least if I'm inactive, I'm neither committing good nor bad, right? Then how can it be sinful to be inactive? Because if I'm active, then I'm either doing good or bad. Unless I come to bhakti. But inactive, how is it sinful? I'm not doing either. That seems unfair.
It's not possible to be inactive.
Okay, it's not. What do I have to do? I still have to do certain things. Right?
Usage of resources.
No, but it's good for nothing.
It's good for nothing, that's for sure. Thank you. But that doesn't make it sinful. It just makes it not productive.
If we are inactive, we will not be able to reach our goal. That is which we have to reach Krishna.
If you're inactive, you'll not be able to reach your goal. But still, why is it sinful? Why is it not just at least neutral? Neither reaching the goal, nor creating harm. I'm just neutral.
It may be good for our material world, not good for our spiritual.
It's definitely not good for our spiritual world. Because spiritual means to be active with Krishna. But if I'm inactive, I still have to breathe. I still have to eat. How am I going to eat in an inactive way? Anyone can eat inactively? I'd like to see that. No, we cannot. We have to eat. Krishna is going to say in the 3rd chapter, if you eat foodstuffs which are not offered to Krishna, then you are eating sin. Because even fruits and vegetables, they have life. There's a soul. So to free ourselves of that, we must offer to Krishna. That's activity. So to think I can be inactive is not fair, not correct. So Krishna is going to say in later, one who has knowledge sees action and inaction and inaction and action. Now we won't answer that riddle, but one who sees action in inaction. One who sees, no, this person is inactive, but they're still eating, they're still doing this activity, they're still creating karma. That person who can see that has knowledge. But also one who sees inaction in action. Meaning one who is active, but not creating any reactions. That's the best. I want to be active, but no good karma, no bad karma. And we'll talk about why in a little bit. So, Krishna is saying very clearly in the beginning of this verse, you have a right to perform your duty. And he says, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So both things he says. Right? So action is clearly being recommended here. We all can agree? Active. So big circle on the top. Right? Just like that 2-year-old child. Now the next question is how to be active. Right? So Prabhupada comments about the prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Right? So what was the most difficult part? How do we have to do our duty? We get to eat all these wonderful fruits? Huh? I grow in my garden all these luscious, beautiful fruits. And do I get to eat them? No. And what happens? Pain. Right? So why we don't get to eat them? This is the ego-shattering statements now that Krishna is bringing to our attention. He's going to say in the 3rd chapter, Prakute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Due to ahankara, this false ego, we think I am the doer. But in reality, Krishna is saying you are not the doer. If you are not the doer, you are not the creator of these fruits, then you cannot be the enjoyer of the fruits. But we say, wait a minute. I'm the one who went to school. I got the degree. I go to the office. I brought home the paycheck. Why I cannot enjoy the fruits? Any of us have that thought process or question? Only me? Okay. All are so renounced. So this is difficult because Krishna is saying that you are not the cause of action. You are not the doer. If you go into the office place and someone says you are not the doer of your project but finish your project, how does that make you feel?
Insulting.
Smashing that ego. Ego says, I am the doer. Right? So why Krishna is presenting this? Okay? So, we are not the doer, but we are the instrument of the doer. Who is the real doer? The ultimate doer? Krishna. And what is our role? The instrument. Right? And this is very factual, we know. Spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Right? The hand is the instrument for the whole, the body. The hand serves a purpose as an instrument for the whole. My spirit soul, your spirit soul, it is the instrument for Krishna. Okay, so file that away for a second. So let us see, just take a couple of examples of how we are not the doer. Because until we have faith that we are not the doer, this is difficult to detach from the fruits. But remember, being told you are not the doer doesn't mean then I do nothing. I'm inactive. Right? That's not the conclusion. So Krishna says you do your duties, but you don't take the fruits. It's like, it feels like the worst of both sides. At least if I'm going to do, I can enjoy. If I'm not going to enjoy, then I won't do. But Krishna is saying you do, and you renounce the fruits. So if Arjuna is his dear friend, why would he give him this formula? Let us see why this formula is the best and most potent instruction for us. Because it is the key to purifying our consciousness and coming to this platform of eternal happiness. Because otherwise it will not happen. But our society says, if you're doing, you enjoy. If you're not doing, you don't enjoy. But Krishna is saying you do, but you renounce the fruits. But key here is not saying you don't enjoy. So we'll come back to that. Right? So, how am I not the doer? Well, I've given this example previously. Maybe some of you have heard it, but it's worth, I like saying it again. So, imagine I'm building a house. Somebody hires me, this couple hires me. They bring all the raw materials. They say, dear sir, can you build me the house? So I go, and I'm working very hard, and sawing, and I'm not very good at this, but eventually, after some time, the house is constructed. I've worked very, very hard. I've put together this beautiful home, and I've said, wow, now I show up. I ring the doorbell, and I have my suitcases in hand. What is the owner going to say? Come on in? Are they going to say, come on in? They're going to say, do not enter. And I'm saying, wait a minute. I built this house. Is that true? How can you not let me in your house? Now you all laughed, thought it was foolish for that person to show up with their suitcases ready to move in. You all laughed. It's so obvious, right? But wait a minute. He built the house. So why doesn't he have right to the master bedroom? Okay, not at least one bedroom in the house. It looks like a big house, doesn't it? Sure, there's space. Why doesn't he have right to it? Why not? He built a house.
Build the house for the other person.
For the other person. The builder is not the owner. Is not the proprietor, the owner. The owner can determine whether that person may enter or not. The owner may determine whether the person can stay or not. But the builder cannot. Is it clear? And why? Because the builder just did his job. The owner provided all the resources, all the facilities, all the materials, everything, so that the builder could create the home. But all the resources being used were provided for by the owner. Thus, the owner can decide. But us as the builder cannot. So we're creating all these things and all these things. But we'll ask these important questions in a few minutes. What is it that we came to with? Nothing. Right? It's just like this bank teller. This bank teller is getting money. Lots of deposits today. Do they think, oh, today I am rich? And then the next day there are lots of withdrawals. And every money is going out. Oh, I am poor? No. Why doesn't the bank teller get happiness or distress between withdrawals and deposits?
Because it's someone else's money.
It's someone else's money. What is their role?
They're just doing their duties.
They just have a job. For that job, they'll be paid. Just like the builder, he was paid. But not the ultimate enjoyer, because they are not the owner. The owner has independent right to enjoy. Everyone else is dependent, right? If I want to enter your house, I am dependent on your permission. Because I'm not the owner. You are the owner. Clear? So, we know the owner can enjoy the fruits. Right? So now let's see why we're not the owner. What did we bring into this world? Nothing? Not even this one kurta? Nothing? My iPhone? I didn't bring that? Nothing. And what will I leave with this world? Nothing. Hmm?
We will not take everything with us. We will
Leave everything.
everything.
Yeah, we'll take nothing with us. So we enter the world with nothing, and we leave the world with nothing. Let me ask you, if you're going on vacation and you go to a hotel room, you'd bring some stuff with you? Right? And you stay there for some time, and then when you're done, what do? You take your stuff and you leave. Right? Because you own those things, you take them and leave. Well, during this hotel stay of our life, what did we bring? And what are we leaving with? Why? Why we didn't bring anything? Did we forget? Why we didn't bring anything? Anybody wonder that question?
We are not the mother of you.
We don't own anything. What do we own? What do we own? This is ego smashing, right? But it's true if you just take a little bit of introspection, a little bit of thought. What do we own? Nothing. Wait a minute. I have my laptop, I have my phone, my house, my car, my family. Then why don't I take that with me with my next birth? I don't own it. Even this body. Do I own this body? Mother and father say, no, I created this body. But ultimately, Krishna created it. Even this body we have to leave back. So everything that we create in this world, what are we using to create? If I'm so intelligent I can create this magical device and make billions of dollars, still, am I much different than that home builder? Because who is providing the materials to create? If we don't know who, at least we know one thing. And what is the one thing we know for sure? It wasn't me. Right? I didn't bring with me in my bags the silicone and the different raw materials. I didn't. Krishna says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that even the ability we have, that also comes from Krishna. So whatever ability we have, it also comes from Krishna. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, that's a fact. Now, how difficult is it to detach from the fruits? Are we the rightful owners of the fruits? Whatever we create in this world? If we are using someone else's resources, if even the ability is given by someone else. So the key to figuring this out is, who is this someone else? Right? Who has given me the facilities, the resources to create? What is my relationship with that person? And how do I find out what I'm supposed to do? So, Because if I don't, I'm trespassing. Just like that builder. If the builder enters the home and begins to live in it, is trespassing. If I move about this world thinking I'm the creator of all these fruits, that's not going to work. And I'm going to have to suffer the consequences, the reactions. Okay? Just like that builder, ultimately the police will come and escort him out. So we have to realize we're not the owner of anything. And thus I am not the rightful enjoyer of the fruits. Now I'm going to make a material example. Remember, this does not correlate to the spiritual example, but there's a small correlation. When the builder built the house, did he get anything for it? Yeah, he was paid something, right? So he renounced the fruits of his work, the home, but he was also compensated for it. The bank teller, they're just doing it voluntarily? Oh, they're getting some consideration. Now the problem in the material world in that relationship is, what does the owner give to the employee? The bare minimum. The least amount that I must give to motivate them to come back tomorrow to work. That's it. Not a penny more. Because the less I give them, the more I get to enjoy. That is the material example. Okay? Because everything is limited. If I have $100 and I give you 20, it means I have 80. If I only give you 18, it means I have 82. That's a fixed pie. But what is Krishna's pie? So if Krishna has, in some way you can say 100, and he gives you 100, how much does he have left? No. I give... He has nothing? I heard 100, I have nothing. Somewhere in between is the truth.
He has Akshay Patra. So it keeps coming as Akshay Patra.
Om Purnam Adaha Purnam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vishishyate Eva Vishishyate. This is spiritual math. Krishna has 100, he gives 100, he still has 100. Because he is Purnam, complete. He creates all of these universes with resources to build one home. How many resources we have? Krishna is creating unlimited universes. Yet, he remains complete. Even though each universe is complete in and of itself, he remains complete. 1 plus 1 equals 1. 1 minus 1 equals 1. So if Krishna can give you 100 and still retain 100, now my hesitation in giving you is because whatever I give you, that much less I have. Now, when one works for Krishna, how does Krishna reciprocate? And this is the key to us. Because our concern about detachment is what? What is my fear when I say detach from the fruits? I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose something. Try to get a child to detach from their cookie. Not so easy. Because I feel they'll lose. But in spiritual formula, you're saying, Krishna is saying, give me 1 cookie, I'll give you 100. But you have to first give the 1. Krishna is saying, whatever fruits you can create in this world, you renounce. But don't worry, I'll give back many, many more times. Because he has the ability, he has love. So detachment to the fruits is the key to happiness. It is the only means to happiness. But until we come into knowledge, we have the exact opposite notion. Is it not? Accumulate as much as I can and try to enjoy them. Now let's ask, how has that formula worked in the history of the world? How much battle there is for land. This is my border. Don't cross it. This is my oil. Don't take it. Has that claiming of proprietorship led to happiness and bliss? Only fear, anxiety, death, misery. That's it. So attaching to the results, we've seen very clearly. So let's just summarize. I don't know why this is not working. So we have what happens here. If we attach to the fruits, we get karmic reactions. Attaching or detaching, whose choice is that? It's what?
Individual.
Individual's choice. Always or sometimes? We have the independent, minute free will to decide which one we'll do. And how we'll pick which path I'm going to take.
Which one gives the most benefit?
Which gives me the most benefit. Anyone will pick the path that gives me the least benefit. So these are the results. Now which one are you going to do? Huh? Detach. But you have to know why. To have faith in this detachment. So theoretically it looks so easy. And it is. But Krishna knows that this ahankara, this false ego, is very strong, staunch. So it takes more than one hammer shot to break it. So Krishna is going to speak the entire 3rd chapter, just hammering away. Hammering away. And it'll break. And this understanding will come.
I think this, we are all influenced by others only, Prabhu.
Yeah. Where we learned all this? From our association. Association is key. So let's see. When you attach to the fruits, that's my choice. I can keep the fruits. When I said way back when, you don't get the fruits, this is our choice. Right? You can keep or not. Now what happens when I keep the fruits? Krishna doesn't like me? No.
He still likes.
He still likes. But we get the reactions. Either good or bad. Good karma, bad karma. I get them. Now is good karma really good? Why? Because what is the result of either good karma or bad karma?
Makes us to be in this material world.
It's bondage. Right? Which means we bind, we get another body. And what comes with this wonderful body? Birth, death, old age, disease. Adhyatmic, adibautic, adidevik. These 7 things you cannot separate from the body. Just as you cannot separate heat from fire. When there is a body, old age will come. Anybody is looking forward to old age? Disease? Yeah, flu season's coming, no problem. I'm excited. Yay. Anybody? Certainly nobody's looking forward to death. But by attaching to our work, we have karmic reactions. Which means even if they're good karma, I have to come back into another body and receive them. Right? So ultimately another body means suffering, misery, difficulty. This is a formulaic. This is not opinion. This is fact. It's not a matter of one's opinion. Now, what happens when I detach? Does that mean I don't do any activity? No. Both paths are active. But if I do my activity and detach to fruits, what happens? No reactions. No good karma, no bad karma. That's why I said, one who sees inaction, inaction. Inaction means no reactions while one is being active. So we said at the very beginning, the 2-year-old is active, it's okay, but we don't want the 2-year-old breaking the window with a hammer. That's not okay. So activity is okay, but how to be active is what we need to understand. So Krishna is saying, do detached activity. Do your duty. Not doing your duty is also bad. Do your duty, but know who is the owner of the fruits. So when we have no more reactions, no more good karma, no more bad karma, what happens? The soul has no more business here. No more to do. Close up shop. Pack up the bags. There are no bags. And go home. And what happens when we go home? Happiness. Because in the spiritual world, is there birth? Is there old age? Is there disease? Is there death? Are there mosquito bites? Tornadoes? Conflict between people? It's Kunta, free of all of that. But how do you get there? What is the first step? Detached. You cannot get there from attachment to the fruits. So when one detaches from the fruits, one obtains the unlimited mercy and love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our fear in detaching is what I will lose. But whatever a child surrenders to a father, that child gains many, many, many times more. Is it not true? If the child surrenders 5 minutes of his playtime to render some service to father or mother, what that child gains back in comparison to that 5 minutes it gave up? Many times more. Similarly, we, as part and parcel of Krishna, when we render service to Krishna, He reciprocates with us many, many times more. Remember, whether we cook chapatis for Krishna or not, He'll not go hungry. Whether we offer Him artik or not, He'll not go dark or without scent or without wonderful flowers or hot. But whatever we offer to Krishna, He reciprocates back with us in unimaginable ways. We cannot even fully quantify because He is unlimited. So it starts with remembering, I am part and parcel of Krishna. Just as the hand is part of my body. And so all the abilities, all the things that I have been given and blessed with, I see all the abilities of the hand. It can pick things up. It can defend, block something from coming its way. It can navigate different areas, open a door so we can enter another area. The benefits of the hand are used in service of the body, the whole. If the hand is trying to enjoy on its own independently, it obtains no value. We are spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And when we begin to engage in our activity in relationship to the whole, to Krishna, then we find our natural position. This is how Krishna reciprocates. This is Krishna meeting His dear devotee back in the spiritual world. Actually, the Lord is crying, anxiously waiting for each and every one of us to return. So now the question is how to do this practically, right? Now, okay, the theory sounds good. I got this. I don't want to be crying a pool of tears. I want the sunshine, happiness. Great. Now what do I do? Right? So does this mean that I get the paycheck and I just tear it up? I'm detached. Don't want the fruits. Or I'm going to put the whole paycheck in the hundi and I'm going to go away. I don't want it. No. So how to do this practically? We earn. And we use our whatever fruits we gain in this service with Krishna. And by serving Krishna, who wins?
Both.
By serving Krishna, who wins?
We.
Both.
We both win. Krishna becomes pleased, and we become pleased. But when we don't serve Krishna, who loses? Krishna laments and waiting, but he does not lose. So, what do? We maintain our home. But we maintain our home as a place for Krishna to be in the center of our home. We maintain our family. We maintain them as devotees of Krishna. We are in temporary custody of our family. But their eternal relationship is Krishna. We serve society, our neighbors, friends, humans and non, in an attempt to connect them to their eternal Father, Krishna. We distribute prasad, build temples, print books, whatever it is. Krishna is not saying be inactive and do nothing, be a nuisance to society. He said that anywhere? No. He said you work, you generate fruits, but then you know how to use those fruits. And we have two choices in using the fruits of whatever we create. We have two choices. One is to use those fruits to satisfy my senses, and the second is to use those fruits to satisfy Krishna's senses. Those are the only two choices I have. Either I can go and work to please Krishna's senses, or I'll go and work to please my own senses. And each has an outcome or result. And we know with some level of faith now, working to please the senses of Krishna is what will give us our happiness. There is no means to satisfying your senses until you come to serve Krishna. Then your senses will be fully satisfied. Serving Krishna does not mean we abandon our senses. We don't see nice things, don't hear nice things, don't taste nice things, don't smell nice things. That's not spirituality. Spirituality is we really see nice things. We really hear nice things, taste nice things. And that only happens in Krishna consciousness. The only way to truly satisfy our senses. Any of us have sense desires? All do. The only way to satisfy them is to remember my eternal position as part and parcel of Krishna. Detached from the fruits. Don't leave the fruits behind. Use them practically in the service of Krishna. So you can aspire to become the greatest in your career, your profession, to work very hard. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, don't be lazy. He's saying you do the best. You acquire as much. He said you should rule the whole world. He's telling you rule the whole universe. But you do it as a service to Krishna. So we can climb the corporate ladder per se, but know how to use those fruits. That will give us the best outcome, and that is by detaching. So real renunciation is to use everything with Krishna and not for ourselves. The key is still to use everything. That is renunciation. But how to use it? So this topic will continue. It'll pick up in the third chapter. But it's a very important topic and takes some time to fully digest. But that is renunciation. Detachment from the fruits. Okay. Any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Detaching is a progression, no problem. So, also I have another question. Because we heard that Prahlad Maharaj was told that at the age of 5 we need to get into Krishna consciousness. Is there any relation between detaching and we have to start at the age of 5?
Well, we detach according to our capacity, according to our ability. But that renunciation mood should begin at an early age. Because what we do at an early age becomes a habit for our whole life. And Krishna consciousness is so practical that even a 5-year-old may practice it perfectly, completely. And Prahlad Maharaj showed that. So, detachment is a progression. But the pace of that progression has nothing to do with our age. It has to do with how quickly we're going to surrender our false ego. And that is individual. It has no bearing on, I've only been coming to Bhaktivedanta for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 3 years. That has no bearing. You may come for 20 years and still not detach from the fruits. You may come for 20 minutes and be convinced and detached from the fruits. So it has no bearing on our time. It has bearing on how long it takes to see the truth, see reality. So don't think detachment comes because you didn't quite say this, but the one idea comes that I am young, I have so many responsibilities, I have this career and this job and I have to get settled here, then I have to get to this point and settle this, then I have to get to this next phase and settle this. But then when I get up there, then I can detach. But it never happens. Because remember, how old was Arjuna when Krishna said you detach? He was young. He had young children. He was young. Detachment doesn't mean you go to the forest. Arjuna wanted to go to the forest. He said, no, you come back. You rule. Detachment means use it with Krishna. So detachment doesn't mean, that's not detachment. Detachment means no more using it for my own sense enjoyment. I'm going to use for Krishna's sense enjoyment. So detachment doesn't mean family, you're on your own, good luck. No, that is offensive and sinful. Because now you're putting Krishna's children at risk. Detachment doesn't mean, boss, you talk smart to him, so I don't care, I'm leaving. No, that's not detachment. Detachment means you use all of your ability. Remember, we are an instrument in Krishna's plan. So we use all of our ability, all of our resources to its full potential. Why we should use the full potential? Because Krishna has given us this gift. We tell our children, you have given a gift, don't waste it. Do we not? We have given you so much. Use it to its full potential. But Krishna has given us so much. Intelligence, strength, energy, knowledge. We should use it. But know how to use it. So detachment isn't a matter of age, isn't a matter of stage of life. It is a matter of consciousness. But we must know how to intelligently detach. Otherwise we'll make foolish decisions. Like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And Srila Prabhupada had very practical examples. Sometimes in the early days, some enthusiastic devotees with families said, Prabhupada, I want to join the temple and give everything up. And he would say, no, you cannot. One very famous example is George Harrison from the Beatles. George Harrison, world famous musician. He wanted to give everything up, shave his head and join the temple. And Prabhupada said, no, you have a gift, which is millions of followers. Use it. Use your fame, your wealth to spread the names of the Holy Lord. And he did. He recorded one of the most famous albums of all time, Living in the Material World. So we have very practical examples of this. It's okay? Any other questions or comments? Yes?
You mentioned that Krishna also said Arjuna to like rule over the world, and so in one way we say that if we know Krishna and we know what exactly our goal is, then we should be aspiring for that. But then the other way, also the material aspects comes. Like if someone has like a career, or if he had like a vision to follow a certain path. So how do like both these things like to go together?
Yeah.
I mean, how can a person like have a conviction for be successful materially, but at the same time also follow what Krishna wants?
Yeah, so how to have career ambition, to have material success desires, but also practice spirituality. Well, I'll give you the one abrupt answer, which is you cannot do both. But then I'm going to show how to do both. And there's one flaw. Material ambition, career ambition does not mean material desires. It may or may not. The devotee goes to the office and the materialist goes to the office. They both go to the office, but they have two different consciousness. One is trying to do its best to buy another car and a bigger home and enjoy his senses. And the other is trying equally hard, maybe even harder to do its best, but to please Krishna. Now that devotee who is working very hard to climb the corporate ladder, to obtain millions of dollars, is that material desires? Why? Because he is trying to use that fruit for Krishna. So what differentiates whether it's material or spiritual is not the action, it's the consciousness. What is my goal with those fruits? So it's not that, oh, I have material desires to, get this promotion and complete this project and issue a patent and invent something that'll change the world. That's okay. The question is, what are you going to do with the fruits coming from that? What is your goal for those fruits? Is it to feel good, obtain some fame, or is it to obtain some wealth, which you may then, distribute some prasad to those who are hungry and who are in need of connecting back to Krishna? What is your goal? So that's what defines whether it's spiritual or material. So you have to pick one boat or the other. But by picking the spiritual boat doesn't mean that you're not going to achieve career success. It's how to spiritualize your career success. How to spiritualize your family success. And it's not theoretical, it's practical. There are millions of practitioners of spiritual life who make great success in the material world. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, one of our great acharyas, the seventh Goswami, he held the highest position in the British government as an Indian, non-British. He was a head magistrate. Material success. He was so successful in his job that when he wanted to retire, the British government said no. And they built a small gauge train line from his office to his house. Now, how many of our bosses are willing to do that for us? They built him a train. They would pick him up in the morning and drop him off in the afternoon. Just so they could retain his services. He was so expert. Yet, he is coming from the spiritual world as one of the manjaris to come and revive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Yet, from an external vision, he had a great career as a judge. But he was a pure devotee of the Lord. So, devotees have great careers also. But they know how to use the fruits for the ultimate result. It's okay? And that is why spirituality can be applied today. yesterday. Not, oh, let me get some career success, then I'll practice spirituality.
Yeah.
No, you're not convinced. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm convinced, like with the end, like on a higher platform, but when it comes down to like performing or living this idea, then every day is different. Time is different.
That there is room for progressive steps. You're not, to your point, you're not going to fully detach after reading this verse. You've read this verse many times already. The point is, am I a little bit more detached today than I was 6 months ago? That's your measuring stick. Am I materially detached more today than I was 6 months ago? If so, I'm making progress. And your goal is just to keep making progress. It's not going to happen overnight. Flip of a switch. No. Take some time. So know the end goal, as you said, and work towards it. Make gradual steps towards it. But make sure we keep going forward.
It also depends on the conditioned mind there. So what we carry from the previous birth.
Well, that we can't do anything about now. What we're carried with us, we can. What we can do is how quickly I want to uncondition the mind. How much intensity I'm going to chant the holy names. By chanting the holy names, we can overcome all the conditionings of the mind. How much I'm going to associate with devotees. That is going to help me understand how quickly I can overcome this. Right? Because the level of conditioning exists today, there's nothing we can do. But the pace at which we undo it, we have control over. And that is how sincerely I apply the practice. Association, books, chanting, diet. That is in our control.
Like, if somebody do some bad things and say, I'm not the doer, how to connect this with this statement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Prabhupada makes that comment of the, you cannot use this, I am not this body, I'm spirit soul, as a sanction to go kill. I don't like my neighbor, he's a body, spirit soul is changing, no problem. What's the big deal? Right? All the actions must be performed under guidance of scripture. So to be free from reaction, to be free from sinful reaction, it must be under guidance. And I give the example, Prabhupada gave this example of the military person. The military person is given training, given gun, ammunition, uniform, how to shoot everything. And if that person is sent into battle and they kill many enemies, they are rewarded. But that same person, same gun, same ammunition, same training, same uniform, gets in a fight with his neighbor and kills one, that same government will put him in jail. Because the difference is, one, in the first instance, they were working under the direction of the government, no reactions. The second was they were working under the direction of themselves, reactions. So as long as we are working under the direction of Krishna, no reactions. As soon as we work under our own desires, reactions. That choice is ours. Right? So as soon as I begin to work under the direction of Krishna, no reactions. That's Krishna's reaction. So when I say I'm doing some bad thing, I'm not a doer, no. Because you have the desire, so you have the responsibility. Krishna is going to say, after he says, Prakrute kriya manani gunai karmany sarvashana vimudatma kartamini manite, he says later in the 5th chapter, I am also not the doer. So Krishna says, you are not the doer, and he says, I am not the doer. So he's not responsible for your sin either. So what he then further explains is, you are not the independent doer. But because of your desires, action is instigated. So, again, a little bit more complicated. But because of free will, I get to choose what I want to do. And based on that choice, I have to accept a reaction. So when we say we are not the doer, we are not the independent doer. But we have a role in action, and that role in action is the desire. Krishna doesn't force us to do things. We're not robots. If we are forced to do things, then we cannot hold ourselves. Then it would not be fair for Krishna to then hold us accountable. Wait, I didn't have a choice. No, we do have a choice. Every action begins with a desire. That is the seed of action. I desire to do something, then Krishna sanctions yes or no. Not based on whether he likes us or not, but based on a qualification. If Krishna says yes, that action can be done, then the modes of material nature carry out that action. So we are not the doer in the sense that we can't do it. We're like puppets. Even moving my hand, I can't do it. I think I'm doing it. All I'm doing is desiring to move my hand. Everything else is being carried out by the chemicals in my body, which I have no control over. If I had control over it, the paralyzed person would also move. But they don't. The modes of nature control based on the sanction of Krishna. So we are not the doer in the sense that we are not the independent doer. But the desire is the first step in action. So thus we have responsibility.
One more question. So from where we are getting these impurities, this kind of negative thinking, negative thoughts.
That's a nice
Though we don't want that, but it's kind of coming to us.
If Shamantaka comes to you and says, I want to watch one horror movie with violent murders, and will you let her watch it?
No.
Why not?
But for her,
What will happen?
she may react the same way.
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
Right? Bad thoughts will come later. So where did our bad thoughts come from? Bad association. You don't let her associate with that movie because you don't want those thoughts and desires to come. Right? So where our bad, impure thoughts came from association. When we associate with the modes of material nature, either in goodness, passion, or ignorance, those desires start to come. So how to get rid of them? Associate with something better. Associate with something better. I was going to talk about association and give me the perfect opening to do so. You know, we are associating like this, and now I can say we should take one more step in our association, and that is association in the temple. The Sunday feast program that Srila Prabhupada established is a critical and core essence of our spiritual journey. Because as Grihastas, we have so much association elsewhere. Of the 168 hours in a week, hardly we get a couple hours here. And now I'm going to ask a couple hours in the temple. 5 hours out of the 168. We need that association, and there are different types of association to give us the strength to purify, to withstand the influences, and to charge that battery. So, you know, in the temple, the deities are being served very elaborately, and so there is a reciprocation that exists there. Rendering service in the temple is very, very important. It's very fulfilling. Those of you who have rendered it already have experienced it yourself. And coming to the place where it's a regular service, and I would say, you know, you make it a family outing. Because that experience, and the best we can, we sometimes have limitations in that last piece of it, but the best we can do with that, it creates a bond with us, our family, and the Supreme Lord that becomes very strong. And so this Sunday feast program, it seems very simple and sometimes trivial. Arti, some prasad, maybe a Bhagavad Gita class. I can get prasad at home. I do arti at home. Prasad I'm getting. What's different?
Association.
The association and the reciprocation of Krishna. That's what's different. It's unmatched. And we have the absolute most unique fortune is we have one of Srila Prabhupada's own homes here in Michigan. That is something we actually have no concept of its value. No concept of its value. When His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj was here, he made an amazing statement that just struck me. He said, we'll cross oceans and come from India to the US to earn money, but will not drive from Troy to Detroit to see Krishna. Just startling, but it's a fact. It's a fact. So yeah, you can get association anywhere. But the potency, so this Sunday program is very, very important and very, very helpful for us. So try to make it a part of your weekly regimen as best you can, and participate in this Sunday feast, specifically this Sunday feast program. I can't explain how valuable it is. It's very, very, and there's a proven formula. Those who participate on a regular basis find great strength to overcome all the obstacles in devotional life. Anybody has obstacles in devotional life? We get so many, ups and downs and challenges. By regularly participating in the Sunday Feast program, you'll see, and render some small service. It was the greatest fortune we have. So, some exciting announcements. With much demand, much desire of all the wonderful devotees. This coming Thursday, a week from tomorrow, we'll have our Somerset Rath Yatra, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Somerset Activity Center. The management has given approval for this festival, this picnic. So we'll have a parade and cultural programs and children's activities, prasad, everything. So please join, help spread the word. I don't know, we have flyers somewhere here. I think Nitya Krishna brought some flyers. So we'll distribute flyers. We have over 200 flyers. Electronically, you can share these flyers and celebrate as we bring Lord Jagannath. Last year we had about 800 participants come. So this is the flyer that you can hand out as people are walking around in the summer. So also many services will be available if you have interest. But right now the main service is promoting and inviting as many people as possible. It's very sweet and very fun. So that is next Thursday. Then this Saturday, August 25th, is Lord Balaram Jayanti. This is Lord Balaram is the first expansion from Krishna's. It's considered the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, on our Sunday Bhakti Vriksha, we'll have some Lord Balaram Katha, discussion on Lord Balaram, as we did last year. So this Saturday, from 4:15 onwards, will be the program there. And Lord Balaram is the source of all Guru Tattva. He is Param Guru. It's all knowledge that we gain, it comes through Lord Balaram. And Balaram is the source of our spiritual strength. Bala means strength. So we pray to Lord Balaram for strength in our spiritual practice, so that we may remain strong and steady. This is the festival season. More is coming. And also on Labor Day, Monday, we'll have Shri Krishna Janmashtami. Those of you who really want to experience Shri Krishna Janmashtami, you can come for 4:45 a.m. Mangal Arti. Krishna has arranged it to be a holiday this time. So it's very, very sweet to have the first darshan of the Supreme Lord in this Mangal Arti. Many devotees from Somerset in this area will be going. So you can, carpool and gather in cars and drive together if you want. And they'll go back home, take rest, and come back in the afternoon. The programs go, there'll be dramas, Abhishek, swing festival. We'll take Radha Krishna onto a boat and drive them along the canal, have a beautiful boat festival, have a huge fireworks display. so many other activities taking place, prasad throughout. So please come and enjoy the appearance of Lord Krishna. We'll talk more about Sri Krishna Janmashtami as that date approaches. On Sunday, the day before, we're having a Krishna Kids Janmashtami festival. So, in celebration of all our kids' activities. So a wonderful kids-oriented Janmashtami celebration. So kind of a 2-day festivity. So this is September 2nd and 3rd. So a week from this coming weekend, 10 days from now. So please join. Okay? So can we chant? Yeah.
On which day the midnight Harati will be there?
Monday.
Monday night.